Alrighty, here we go. How you doing, folks? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report for Thursday, August 20th. You're listening to the Ron Raymond Report, or no, it's not the Ron Raymond. It's the Raymond Report, along with Ross Benjamin from Ross Benjamin Sports. How you doing, Ross Benjamin, for Thursday, August 20th?
Very good, Ron. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, doing good. Like I said, today I feel like I'm in the wilderness here. I got birds chirping, dogs going. It's a
Yeah,
great
you got
day.
your sister and your nephew. Is it your nephew or the kids?
Nieces, yeah, nieces.
Nieces. Okay.
Yeah,
So it was the nephew last week, or godson.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
You're quite the entertainer, my man.
yeah. You know what though? They're from Toronto, right? So
Yeah.
we get to see each other only a few times a
Yeah,
year.
no, understood. And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the right time,
Yeah. Oh, hey.
before the football season starts,
Exactly.
where you could give them their much needed attention.
Exactly. And our dog, Rusty's a puppy, and they got a puppy. So these guys are going at it. And so yeah, it's quite active lately. But you know what, Ross? Speaking of dogs, finally it came down to earth yesterday with the favorites and the underdogs in baseball. Favorites cooled down a bit. NBA, what a great game that was for the Boston Celtics. We were just talking off air, like Sixers, man, they're in trouble. Like.
Yeah.
They're playing just to get out of the bubble type thing. Like they're in trouble. They have Ben Simmons could help this team. They got no support. And Ross, I want to bring something to your attention and tell me what you think of this. I've been thinking about the Lakers and LeBron James, and I was talking to my brother-in-law about this the other night. I think what's happening with LeBron James is when you look back in 2016 when he was with Cleveland, he was the guy. He was the alpha. He was the pressure guy. He wanted that pressure. Right now, there's too many cooks in the kitchen in LA. He doesn't feel that pressure, I think. And he's looking around. He's not in the same element as he was when he beat Golden State because he took everything on his shoulder, and that's what makes him the GOAT. And now he's looking around, passing it off. Like there's too many great players now on the Lakers, and they surrounded themselves with too many cooks in the kitchen. And I think what's happening is LeBron subconsciously doesn't feel that in-game pressure to elevate his game to be the guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, especially since they returned from the bubble, like you alluded to. It wasn't a factor for 90% of the regular season as they put up an outstanding record, but I didn't like the way they finished the year. Before the break and then go after the break. And then I really thought, like I said yesterday, Ron, I really thought that they would turn the switch on, but it goes hand in hand with what you're saying. I think that there's a lack of identity with that team right now and a lack of chemistry, and that's what's hurting them. And now, you're playing against good teams now. I mean, you're playing against a backcourt right now in Portland with C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard that might be the best backcourt in all the NBA.
Yeah.
And they always say in the NCAA tournament, when it comes to basketball, senior backcourts, you got to account for them. They're very dangerous. Well, this is a veteran backcourt that's very productive. So it's a combination of things, Ron, but what you touched upon, I can't disagree with. It makes a lot of sense.
I look at, these, back in the last 10 years, these super teams, putting the, look at Stanton and Judge, another example. Like, okay, they have their flashes, but they're never in the same lineup. Yeah. Think of the dynamic duos of the past, or, they try to build these super teams. They very rarely do it ever works. And I just think LeBron right now, looking around, he's saying, I don't feel that in-game pressure. You got one guy stepping up the other night. He's the guy. He's the Jordan. He's
got to be the guy who says, I got to carry this team on my back right now.
Absolutely.
Because we're struggling.
Yeah.
And with Anthony Davis there, you know what I mean? There's in a couple other players. You got Dwight Howard coming off the bench. You got a lot of alpha dog mentalities there.
Yeah.
So it makes, which he's not used to, like you said. Yeah. He's never been surrounded by that.
Yeah.
The other team that I would be a little concerned with too is the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, they lose that opening game to Orlando as a double-digit favorite. And, you look at the Bucks, how they finished the year, Ron. I think they won 0-3 straight up in ATS in their last three before the break. They haven't been good after the bubble. Okay, same thing with the Lakers. They're going to turn the switch on now. Well, it didn't happen. And not only they lost handily against Orlando in that game. So we'll see if these teams could they turn it around, Ron? Could they get that switch turned back on? I think Milwaukee's a different animal than the Lakers, because the Lakers' problems right now are specifically, in my opinion, exactly what you just alluded to. Chemistry and the LeBron James thing. Milwaukee right now is just in a rut that they can't get out of. And we'll see. There's a lot of talent on that team. We'll see how it goes.
And from a betting perspective, we talk about this. It's almost the foundation of our show, perception versus reality. And the perception is that, like you just said, they're going to bounce back. Well, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah,
I think that wasn't an accident.
Yeah,
Brooklyn wasn't an accident against Milwaukee.
If it was a one-game scenario, right, Ron, you would say, yeah, okay. The Lakers, they've won 10 of their last 11. They got blown out by 20 yesterday. One of those things. It's been an inconsistent run from before the break until after the break, and right into the first game of the playoffs. Same thing with Milwaukee. It's not like all of a sudden they had a bad game. They've just been inconsistent going back to their last 3 games before the break. So we'll see.
Hey,
I mean, right now, to me, laying that kind of number with Milwaukee today, they very well might bounce back, and Orlando might be a little complacent in the mind and feeling their oats. Milwaukee might come back with blowing out Orlando today. But again, I keep using this adage. These are the types of situations in sports betting where it's almost like trying to stay into a hand, being desperate, and trying to catch an inside straight. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. Okay, but again, we're talking about trying to cover a big number.
Yeah, and we talked about this again off air. Man, we start recording our off air conversation, but they're pretty good. The forcing plays in playoffs.
Yep.
I feel like yesterday, obviously 0-2, and you look back and you go, normally my history of betting playoff sports, I normally tell off after the third game because there's no more because the first 2 games are always on the home court or ice, and then the next 2 are and then to me there's no more value anymore because now it's just a coin flip. If it goes, and you think about it, if it goes to game 5, 6, and 7, those should be competitive games because the other team's winning, and so you're getting good value, right?
Yeah, and you got to take into account, Ron, and I think I can't speak for you, but I got a feeling you're going to agree with me on this. Is now we're getting down to minimal games a day. We're getting down to very good teams against very good teams, which now the odds makers know they're going to get a lot of action on any games being played right now in the postseason as it progresses and the field gets smaller, which means the lines are going to get sharper and it's going to be tougher to beat. Now, that's not to say guys like me and you can't beat it, but it's just, again, that's the reality of the situation. In other words, for example, college football. You got 70 games on a Saturday, right, Ron? Mm-hmm. I think the biggest mistake that a lot of bettors make, and handicappers as well, is they tend to look at those high-profile premium games, especially those being nationally televised. Well, if you're paying attention to that, most of the public is paying attention to that, and the bookmakers subconsciously, and they'll tell you they look at every game evenly, but that's baloney. There's a human element there. They know that that's where they're going to get a lot of the action, and they're going to be a lot sharper, as opposed to a game between Florida Atlantic and Florida International, where you could find very good value in, and the bookmakers know they're not going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's not a national TV game, right?
And unless you start getting a lot of action. Yeah, exactly. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. All right, let's take a look at the baseball here, Ross. I'm going to do a screen share. The SBI, which we start each and every day. We look at the market conditions to see what's come in on the day, the week, the month. And looking at the MLB yesterday, Ross, finally favorites cooled down just a bit, but they still won 8-7 on the day. And looking on the 7-day average, they're coming in at 76.9% clip. To me now, I'm starting to go back to the underdog. When I do my handicapping today, I'll be looking at more dogs. And I love the fact we're in a neutral market here on the 3-day average for totals. 56% for favorites. 44% for underdogs. And on the 1 month average, again, there's that 48%. You know what? We just had a day of, 7-7, 9-3 to the over, 6-8. This is what I love about the over-unders is that the bookmaker doesn't have an edge like he does with the favorites, right? Yeah. He can really manipulate that line or the money line and entice you to take it or not. We're here. We're on an even playing field. So I do like totals. I think totals is, go for it. And, for the favorites, I think today, buyer beware, but underdogs is where you might want to lean.
Just a quick note, 8-7 on the favorites yesterday. Yes, the underdogs started to cover, but most of those underdogs were big ones. Again, Major League Baseball money line favorites, from -106 to -150. We're 4-2 yesterday and made a slight profit, Ron, for the season. Those favorites in that betting parameter of -106 to -150 in Major League Baseball are now 114-62. That's 64.8%. If you played to win $100 on all 176 Major League Baseball favorites of -106 to -150 this year, you're up $3,508, and that's just playing to win 100.
Wow. And that's baseball, where a lot of people don't even touch baseball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, no, that's phenomenal. All right, let's take a look at game number one. I know we got a doubleheader today to kick off with the Blue Jays and the Phillies. This game, I know they got it, but the Yankees are also starting. Tampa Bay Rays, don't look now. I had the over in this game. It was the only one I lost. I had the under in Oakland, and your buddy Merrill Kelly stepped up for me last night again.
Yeah.
But today, Ross. Now, if going back to the series against the Yankees, 3 or 4 they took, right, in the first
yes,
series?
And now they're 6-1 against the Yankees this year.
So, hey, Yankees, this is a big game for them, in my opinion, today, because they want to get some that psychological. They don't want to let Tampa Bay have that edge mentally all year on them, right? John Curtis going up against James Paxton. Bookmaker are even scared. Even put the Yankees a 142 favorite compared to 170 we've seen all week. Now the over-under set at 9.5. ATS forecast, computer pick, going to lean back with the Rays here, 4.57, 3.67, the over-under at 8.24. Chance of winning, 50% for the Yankees, 16-8 on the season. Now, my value line here, Ross, I had the Yankees today at -166, so taking a bit of a haircut here at 142. Getting good value on the Yankees with James Paxton up against John Curtis of the Rays.
Yeah, well, James Paxton has struggled thus far, Ron, in 4 starts, 7.05 ERA. But he does have a very good history against Tampa Bay since 2018. 4 starts, a 103 whip, and he struck out 39 in just 25 and a third innings pitched. A little bit of a mixed bag there. But I do have a tickler here for Ron. Home plate umpire today is Ryan Editon. Ron, this year, home teams with him calling balls and strikes are 5-0. And in his career, home teams 32-17 when he's behind the plate.
Wow, 32-17. Okay, and is that the side or total? I didn't.
That's the side. That's the side. Home
okay.
Teams. Yeah, the home teams have dominated. So, and again, there might, like Ron said, I think there's a bit of value here on the Yankees at -142. It looks like Tampa Bay may try to piece this together with their bullpen today. And it's hard. I'm trying to think back when the last time the Yankees got swept at home in a 4-game series.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to research that. And
they got the Mets on deck in their next series. Phillies taking on the Blue Jays. Now, this is going to be a doubleheader. First pitch today at 1:05 Eastern. You got Chase Anderson up against Spencer Howard. Now, looking at the line here, -115 on the Blue Jays, 8.5. Now, I don't know if that's right. I'm just going to take a quick look here. They're showing.
Yeah, I know that I had no line on this game when I.
Yeah, so it might have just got popped up here on the feed.
Sure.
43% for Phillies chance of winning, 26 for the Blue Jays. Now, Blue Jays won yesterday afternoon, 5-2 against the Baltimore Orioles, where the Phillies lost to the Boston Red Sox 6-3. And looking at some of the streaks here, Toronto, a 3-game win streak. Our value here today on Toronto was +129, -110 here for the Phillies. Now, this game is going to be played in Buffalo.
Yep.
And you know what? take a good look at this game here because both lines are pretty. But again, doubleheader, probably not going to touch it. The only reason I say that is because it's Toronto and I'm a bit of a homer when it comes to them.
Yeah, I understand. So you want to make sure that you're not betting with your heart kind of thing. One thing I will say, okay, and people need to be aware of this. Salem Field in Buffalo is turning into the American League version of Coors Field. Matter of fact, the Blue Jays hit 13 home runs in 2 games in one stretch there last week. And this is a Blue Jays team that's been crushing the ball as far as long balls go. They might not be hitting for an average, but they're going yard a lot. And especially at Salem Field. And the winds are going to be blowing out today, Ron, 10 to 11 miles an hour. So I would take a look. If that total indeed is 8.5, even though it's the top half of a doubleheader, I would take a good look at it and see if there's some value there.
Yeah, great point. 7 innings, right?
Yeah.
So, great point. Detroit taking on the White Sox. Now, the Sox coming off a 5-3 win yesterday over the Detroit Tigers. And Lucas Giolito getting a nod here today for the White Sox. I don't know. He's just one of those pitchers I cheer for because I know he did so well. I know he had a little bit of a bad luck there last year, but looking at his starts this year, the team is 2-3 in his starts. Up against Spencer Turnbull of the Tigers. Tigers are really crashing down to earth here, losing 8 straight losses. Ross, this team here today, I don't know. Gardy's going to have to do something to wake up the bats here. The bookmakers have made them an underdog in this spot. Chicago 159 favorite, over under 8.5. Forecast leaning with the White Sox 4.87, 4.15, 9.02 is the over under. The Kogo at 58%. What does Detroit have to do to get back on track here?
Well, I just don't think they're that good, Ron. I just think it was a false sense of security when they got off to that good start. Detroit, Baltimore, Miami, I think they're all in the same boat. Baltimore might be the better of the 3 teams, though, I will say that. But Detroit and Miami, I think you're going to see a steady path here where they will finish well below 500 and not even close to making the playoffs. The Chicago White Sox finally starting to win a couple games at home. Lucas Giolito, Ron, at home this year. The White Sox are 0-3 in his starts, and his 7.47 ERA has a lot to do with that. And then you look at Spencer Turnbull, 4 starts this year, 2.78 ERA, so he's pitched very well. And he's also 11-2 under in his 13 starts on the road since last year. This is a Detroit team, again, 17-66 versus winning teams since last year.
Wow. And playing the 4th game of a series here today. Road teams are 7-9 straight up in this spot this season. Again, it's still for the numbers to really start showing some really solid numbers, still a bit early because, you got the home and away. I put a lot of emphasis on home and away stats.
Absolutely.
You know what? Talk about a stinker of a game. It's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, you know what though? The White Sox, I believe, what's the record right now? They have a winning record.
14-11.
14-11. I mean, they're playing .560 baseball, and they got off to a bad start. So this is a team I liked as a sleeper in the American League, and they're starting to play some good. But they're beating up on the weak sisters of the league. I mean, Detroit the last couple games, and then Pittsburgh, I believe, before that, Ron. So you got to win those games, though, right? You have to win the games that are winnable.
Hey, like I said, we're putting lipstick on a pig right here, but
exactly.
Look, the strength of schedule.
Right, exactly. I thought of you when I was handicapping this game today. It says, the White Sox are 14-11, but who are their wins against this year?
Yeah, exactly. Their strength of schedule last 7 games, 18.37. So you better be winning those games.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, no, hey, you know what? Giolito, I love this pitcher. He's one of the guys I track along with some other guys like Lance Lynn and all that.
He's got a big upside. The kid is, I mean, he got off to a great start last year. And I think you touched upon this on one of our early shows. He just finished the season last year terribly, started this year terribly, then got a little bit of a stretch where he was pitching well, and now he's reverting back to his old ways again. So it's very frustrating when you got a talented pitcher like Giolito, and he just has been inconsistent since the end of last year.
Yeah, I'd love to see him take that next step.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about some of the teams that flew under the radar at the beginning of the year, like Detroit, Miami, Baltimore. Right now, Houston, even though they're not, an under-the-radar type team, but don't look now, 7-game win streak. They probably knocked out Detroit, and they took their spot as a team that's going to be replacing them. Look at this, 7-game win streak coming off a 13-6 win in Colorado yesterday.
Yeah.
Framber Valdez, again, I don't know how many innings he went, but all he does, is just do well and win. When I look at his records, Christian Javier going for the Rockets, the Astros today up against Herman. Too many sports. They said remember they said this year like it's going to be Christmas in August this year with all these sports. I got so many games in my mind. Herman Marquez going here today for the Rockies. Now Ross, check this total out: 12. Rockies a 133 favorite, 7.57, 6.48. The over/under at 2 touchdowns, 0.05. Man. Coors Field is just a crazy. I don't get it. I just don't really see how I guess the altitude does play. It's more physics than anything. But 61% chance of this game going over the total today at Coors Field. Colorado, 3 straight losses, 13-11 on the season.
Yeah, I excuse me. I had 11 on the total, Ron. You might want to double check that. It opened at 12, I believe.
Okay. You're at 11.5. That's all over the place.
Yeah.
11.5, 11.
All right. So we just don't, we don't want to misguide anybody who's listening or reviewing.
Yeah, no problem.
Here's a Houston team. You know what? Here's the thing I see with Houston right now. Their young starting pitchers, like you just mentioned, Framber Valdez, have really stepped up. I mean, they lost Garrett Cole last year. Verlander's on the shelf right at the time. Yep. And here's a perfect example, too. Today, Christian Javier, 4 starts this year, a 3.05 ERA and an 0.82 whip. Wow. That's pretty darn good. Now, again, here's my fear. I mentioned this yesterday. I've seen a lot of good young pitchers really get off to a good start and then go to Coors Field and all of a sudden get a dose of reality. That's my fear there. Now, I'm not sure what Valdez's numbers were yesterday. But, Colorado did score 6 runs in the game. I got to believe he gave up some. The Colorado bullpen, Ron, they're outstanding. It's always good. Look, their numbers are always going to be better on the road than at home. But this year, the disparity, I mean, you're talking about a bullpen on the road that has a less than 2 ERA, and at home is just absolutely horrendous. And yesterday they were terrible again. And Colorado might fall into that bracket with the Baltimores and Detroits of the world, teams that got off to a great start that surprised everybody and now are coming back down to earth. I mean, this is a Rockies team that's now lost 8 of their last 10, Ron.
Yeah, and, look at that. Remember that game against Arizona where they're winning 8-2, and then they made us sweat it out 8-7?
And ended up 8-7. Yeah, their bullpen, again. And it's funny on the road they're shut down, and it goes hand in hand with the ballpark. Yes, but again, the disparity. If you get a chance, Ron, check out the Colorado bullpen numbers on the road against at home. And again, folks, you got to pay attention to bullpens, especially this year, where your teams are playing a lot of doubleheaders and a lot of games in a few days. Yeah. So.
Normally teams that play really well at home or on the road and really bad, like the opposite. I call them the Jekyll and Hyde teams, right?
Yeah.
And that bullpen is Jekyll and Hyde, maybe.
Yeah, they're definitely not Lindy Ruff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
We'll leave that one alone.
That's a hockey one.
Joke with me.
Poor Lindy. I have to send him a case of beer or something. New York Mets taking on the Miami Marlins. Now the Mets, a -175 favorite. Over-under set 9.5. ATS forecast, the computer pick. Going to lean with the Mets here, 7.17, 2.67. Over-under at 9.84. So it does like it to go a bit over the total. Now you got Seth Lugo going today for New York up against Daniel Castano for the Miami Marlins. Now Marlins, just like Detroit, Ross, 5 straight losses. They're sliding down, 99 on the year. Kogo's at 25%. Looking at our value edge, our Vegas edge here today for New York Mets. We have them listed at -133 if we were to buy them on the stock exchange. So, with that big win yesterday, now they're winner of 3 straight. They're getting a bit overvalued. The chance of winning is not in their favor because of the law of average theory. But you know what? 3-game win streak. Eventually something had to happen here. because Miami, a bit of fool's gold since that COVID situation. They were winning on the good, and then they had some players now, saying disrespect us and blah, blah, blah. Well, let's talk about respect now. Let's see what's going to happen today with the Mets, right?
Yep. I mean, you're talking about a team that's you said they lost 5 in a row now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Started out 7-1. Now they're 9-9. This team will be around a 400 team before it's all said and done, even in the small 60 game schedule. The Mets, you know what? Seth Lugo, normally a long reliever for the Mets, so that tells me they're looking to get 3, 4, maybe 5 innings out of them. They're going to rely on their bullpen, which has been much improved of late. And the Miami Marlins bullpen sort of has gone the other direction after getting off to a great start. They've slowed down, and Daniel what's his name? Daniel Castano.
Yep.
Again, I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but my job is a handicapper, not a translator. Castano is one start against the Mets this year, 4 1/3 innings, gave up 4 earned runs. You know what? I know the law of averages favors Miami, but again, how could you go with a team that's lost 8 of their last 10 and their last 5 against a Mets team that's right now got exactly what the doctor ordered, facing an inferior, struggling team?
Yeah. And like the old Bill Parcells quote, right? You are what your record says you are.
Yep.
And here's another thing, Ross. Miami at home against C-type teams, so teams below 500 in the record, the over 4-0, and Miami against B-type teams 3-0, so 7-0 to the over. Maybe this is something the Raymond report is not 100%.
Well, Miami's 9-9 though, Ron. They're not below 500 yet. They will.
Yeah, so
it's soon to be.
Yeah, at 500. But you know what? The over might be something you want to look at here today.
And again, Ron, I love your A, B, and C categories, but it's similar to what I alluded to yesterday with Houston being labeled as a B team. I said, well, you know what? They're a B team, but before it's all said and done, it's an A team. Miami is a B team right now, only because of their 9-9 record. This is definitely a C team. They will be, and I wouldn't be shocked if we talk next week and they're in the C category.
Yeah, but again, it's work in progress with this report. But for today, August 20th, they are who they are today,
but
right?
My point is, that's a great assessment, and I like that tool. Okay, so I don't want to make light of that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, once in a while, you have to use a little common sense beyond what the numbers show.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why you shouldn't base everything handicapping. You should have different criterias. Like, to me, there's a criteria of analytics, and then the general knowledge of what you know and experience. And then believe it or not, gut feeling and luck plays a little bit of a role in this, right?
Yeah, I said that yesterday with Montreal in the NHL. You know what I mean? I had that sneaky feeling, and again.
Yep. Cleveland taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, Tribe, a huge favorite here, -240, over and under set of 8. ATS forecast, computer pick, going to lean with the Tribe here, 5.4, 3.16. The over-under set at 8.56. 6-1 win yesterday against these Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates are in a rough shape, 4-16 on the year. They're almost like a AAA team right now. 15-9 for Cleveland. We had Cleveland at -151 on the value index, but 240, way over value. If you're going to like Cleveland today, this reminds me of the LA Seattle series a bit, right? But Cleveland, the better team, sending their best pitcher to the mound today in Shane Bieber. Trevor Williams going for the Bucks. This is going to be a tough one here for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would lean toward the under here because how good Bieber has been. I mean, you're looking at the Indians are 5-0 with Bieber on the mound this year, and his 1.30 ERA and 0.72 WHIP in those 5 starts has been absolutely dominating. As a matter of fact, he struck out 54 men, Ron, in just 34 2/3 innings pitched. That's domination, especially with when you look at that and you couple it with his ERA and his WHIP. Trevor Williams has been in good form over his last 3 starts with a 3.24 ERA and a 1.14 WHIP. I still question Cleveland, how far they can go. They got great pitching, both starting rotation and bullpen, Ron, but they need to hit. Okay. And the only concern I would have with the under in this game is the fact that Pittsburgh's bullpen is absolutely brutal.
Milwaukee taking on the Minnesota Twins. Now the Twins a minus 155 price. The over-under set at 9.5. ATS forecast, computer pick. Gonna lean with Milwaukee here, who won 9-3 yesterday against these same Minnesota Twins, who are 16-9 on the season. And looking at today's starting pitcher, you got Brandon Woodruff up against Jose Barrios of the Twins. Now Barrios, even though he's a solid pitcher, probably one of their aces, but the record when he starts for the Twins is 1-3 in the last 4. Not looking good here for Barrios, who's, he had a pretty good year last year. Yeah. And now, things aren't connecting for him this year.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee, talk about home and away splits, Ron. 1-6 at home, 9-5 on the road. A real schizo team in that regard. Barrios right now, he falls into that category of when I look back at the last 3 starts, the good form, bad form category, he's definitely in bad form. Over his last 3 starts, a lofty 5.28 ERA and an even more concerning 1.76 WHIP. And Milwaukee this year, by the way, Ron, the total is it's 9.5 on this game now.
Let me see here, Milwaukee 9. I see 9. I see 8.5 at 1.
So, I mean, if it was 8.5, you're looking at a Milwaukee team this year is 8-1 under the total when there's a total of 8 or 8.5. These are 2 very good bullpens as well. So interesting to see what takes place here. But how about them home and away splits from Milwaukee? Hard to figure, right?
Yeah, we almost cashed him in as done there a few weeks ago. Yeah. Couldn't hit himself out of wet paper bag. And now, Barrios reminds me a bit of Giolito of Chicago right now.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
Yeah. And these, 2 good pitchers that just, underachieving right now. The Kogo at 51%, man, I think I'm going to watch this game here today. I think this is going to be, I love Brandon Woodruff. I think he's a good pitcher. Jose Barrios. What time is this game? 7:10 tonight. Yeah. I'd have to flip that one between the basketball, hockey. You should see this place here, Ross. I got about 4 things going at the same time here.
I understand. I'm with you. Hey, Brandon Woodruff, we've been talking about him all year, huh, Ron?
Oh, yeah.
Coming off a little bit of a shaky start at the Cubs, but he's been really good this year. I mean, 4 of his 5 starts have gone under the total, a 1.05 WHIP in those 5 starts, and 3-0 under the total in his 3 starts on the road.
The only thing I would say about Brandon Woodruff that I wish he would give us a little bit more innings.
Yes.
His last couple of starts, only 4 innings. I'd like to see him give us 6 innings like he did against Pittsburgh and Chicago. But, hey, beggars can't be choosers, right?
Yeah, I mean, his pitch count seems to get up there real quick, and that has a lot to do with it. He's not around the plate as much as he should be. But the good side to that, too, and I'm sure it factors into Craig Counsell's decision-making, is the Milwaukee bullpen is very good. So if any of their starters at the 4 or 5 inning plateau is not what he considers to be in top form at that time, there's no hesitation for him to go to the bullpen.
Yeah, how do you like the Mad Hatter, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that guy. He comes in. He just looks like it doesn't look like if you meet him in the mall or something, you'd have no idea he's a closer for the Brewers, right?
No, he looks like a rock star.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
Punk rock band or something.
Yeah, he's good. All right, Dodgers finally lost to the Seattle Mariners. So if I did progress, I probably sweated out 3 games. 6-4
there
wins.
you go. Yeah, you know what I mean? Rad's theory.
There you go.
Not made fun of him, but I razzed him a little bit, and lo and behold, Mariners come up with a win after 2 losses.
Yeah, only cost me $2,000 to get that $100.
Hey, what were the yesterday? What did they close at? But were they more than 200 plus 200?
Oh yeah, no, easily. Let me see here. I got yesterday's Dodgers. Oh, here it is. Minus 230. So 210.
210. So there you go. They're 1-2 in the series. Yet if you played them in every game, you're up $10 per every 100.
Yeah, there you go. Was it worth it? 4 sleepless nights for $10.
Woo! Sweat it out to make that 10 and 100. But you know what? That goes hand in hand to what we've been saying all along. Playing these big favorites, the win percentage is deceiving. There's a Dodgers 2-1 in the last 3 games and are losing money.
Yeah, exactly. And the Dodgers now going into this one, another big favorite, 265, over under set at 8. Forecast, going to lean with Kershaw over Kikuchi today for the Mariners. 4.4, 3.32, the over at 7.72. 32% chance of winning for LA, 68 for the Mariners. And looking at the records, 18-8 on the season, and the Kogo at 43%. Now we had the Dodgers at minus 238. Clayton Kershaw. This should be not a walk in the park, but pretty much.
Yeah, Kikuchi's been good in his 2 starts at home, and Kershaw's been very good since he came back from where his season got delayed because of the back problems. So, if anything, I would lean toward looking at the under in this game.
Yeah, the Kogo is 43%, so 57 favoring. I'm just taking a quick look here to see if there's any numbers backing up the under here. Let me see. I got a couple of nothing really to write home about. Coming off a game that went over the total for Seattle at home, 0-3 to the under this year. So, you know what? I think you're right. I think I will.
The only fear I would have here again, Ron, is the Dodgers. We know what they're capable of offensively. You can get 5 or 6 good innings out of Kikuchi, and their bullpen can implode because they're not very good. The Seattle bullpen is very, very shaky.
Okay. Boston taking on the Baltimore Orioles. The Red Sox a minus 134 price. Over-under set at 9.5. Forecast going to lean with the Bull Sox coming off a 6-3 win over the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday afternoon. And Baltimore losing 5-2 to the Blue Jays. Both teams played afternoon games yesterday. Forecast Ross going to lean with Nathan Eovaldi for Boston, 5.68, 4.28. Over-under set at 9.96. This one has the making, could be a slugfest here. What's the total here at 9.5? Man, I see this one here could go into the 11-10s.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team minus 134 that just broke a 9-game losing streak yesterday on the road, right?
Yeah.
And Baltimore going backwards, I put them in the same category with the Miami, Detroits, and Colorados, teams that got off to a great start, and it fool's gold, like Ron says, in teams like that. But I will say this, Wojciechowski has pitched well this year, and he's got a good history against the Red Sox. So I'm going to take a hard look maybe at the home underdog value here. I mean, 2 struggling teams. I just think Boston's overvalued in this situation.
Yeah, and 1-8 on the road versus division foes. So,
Yeah.
you know what? It could be onto something here. And Boston, is Eovaldi their ace?
Yeah. I don't know who else you could deem to be their ace,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a really sad pick. I can't believe, as good as Boston's management's been over the last decade or so, Ron, that they didn't look at their pitching staff and say, hey, we need to shore something up here. We're not going to be good enough in this regard. And I don't know, maybe sometimes the obvious with smart people just doesn't hit them in the eyes,
Yeah. I'm not used to seeing a Boston Red Sox team struggle like this. It's just like, it's not, you look at professional organizations, you look at, the Yankees, you look at organizations like even the Montreal Canadiens, they've gone through, but, teams like that, they should not struggle. The Dodgers, same thing.
Yeah, but, they underestimated the loss of Mookie Betts, letting him get away. And you know what I mean? And if you're going to let him walk, then sign some good starting pitchers. I mean, nothing against Eovaldi, Ron. He's a nice 3 or 4 holes pitcher in the rotation, but he's not an ace.
No, he's not. That's why I asked if he was a start like the ace, because
and then their bullpen. How could they ignore that? I don't know. Maybe what do I know?
Yeah, we're kicking a dead horse here.
Yeah, exactly.
Texas taking on the San Diego Padres. The Padres at 133 price. Over under set at 8. ATS forecast, computer pick. Going to lean with the Texas Rangers coming off a 6-3 loss yesterday to the Padres. 4.19, 2.67. Over under 6.86. Looking at today's starting pitcher, you got Kyle Gibson going for the Texas Rangers. Donaldson, Lamet going for the San Diego Padres, who are on a 3-game win streak. Now, the last 3 games for San Diego has gone over. The last 4 has gone over for Texas. You know what? You got some power pitcher here in Donaldson, Lamet.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, you've mentioned him a few times, and it got my attention. I think the under might be worth it. A look here. What's the total? 8? Yeah, you know what? Kogo's at 24%. We might be onto something here.
Yeah, Lamet in 5 starts this year, Ron. 159 ERA, 081 WHIP, and striking out 36 and 28 and 1/3 innings pitched. Very underrated pitcher that not a lot of people know about right now, but it's been very dominating. Kyle Gibson, you never know what you're going to get with him, Ron. He struggled at the beginning to start the year. Then he goes into Coors Field and throws a gem and goes 6 innings and only gives up 2 earned runs. Guys like Kyle Gibson drive me crazy because there's nothing in between with them. You know what I mean? You're either going to get a better than average performance or a terrible performance. So that's the only thing that would make me a little shaky as far as making a selection in that game.
Yeah. And, some games you look at them and go, what are you doing in the pros? And the next game, that's why you're a pro.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. No, I hear you. Those guys, those Jekyll and Hyde pitchers drive me nuts too.
And it goes back to his days in Minnesota. He was the same way there. So.
Yeah, that's right. Correct. Yeah, so looking at San Diego, 6-2 against C-type teams at home. You know what? 3-game win streak. Remember, I always say my rules with streaks. You can talk me into a 3-game. You talk me out of a 4-game. But you know what? Texas on a 4-game losing streak. I think San Diego is the right play here. And the thing, now we talked about these streaks and the baseball this year. Some of these teams are going to start feeling pressure because now you're standings watching, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at the standings and you're trying to do the math and and you're almost halfway through the season almost. When you think about it, you're almost halfway through the season. And it's like normally we're talking garbage time here in August, and we're talking now you're seeing ball players getting called up in AAA. Now it's the mindset with COVID this year changes your mind because in reality we're really in the month of what here? Maybe June or April.
In reality, we're probably in a month
May.
of, exactly. Hey, Ron, can you check that number on San Diego? Because I had them at minus 196.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 175 is what I'm seeing.
So, we don't want to tell the viewers to make a 175 play. If you're going to look at San Diego, don't be afraid to look at the run line in that situation.
Yeah, again, these feeds get updated in the morning.
No problem.
So,
that happens.
Cincinnati taking on St. Louis. The Cards are minus 140. The over-under set at 8. ATS forecast, the computer pick. Gonna lean with the Cardinals here. 5.57, 4.61. Over-under set at 10.18. Now, we got a great pitching matchup here today. This is probably not like 6.5 here. You got Sonny Gray up against Adam Wainwright. This is going to be a really good pitching matchup here today, Ross. 8:15 first pitch at Busch Stadium. You got the last 2 games for Cincinnati gone under the total. The chance of winning does have St. Louis winning at 60% compared to 43% for Sonny Gray and the Reds. Now you are, we have the Reds here at 154. You're getting a little bit of value on Cincinnati if you do like them. But you're up against Adam Wainwright and the Cardinals, who were coming off a 4-2 loss to the Cubs in their last game.
Yeah, you know what really sticks out to me here is your neutral term that you use when you look at over and unders. I mean, yes, they are neutral for the year, but you look at this matchup: Cincinnati 11-10 over the total, St. Louis 6-7 under the total, or 7-6 under the total. Sonny Gray. What can you say? The guy's off to a terrific start, and specifically in 5 starts, a 2.05 ERA, a 0.91 WHIP. 45 strikeouts and 30 2/3 innings pitched. Wainwright, 2 starts this year, has been very sharp. I really like Wainwright. He's transformed himself from that power pitcher he was when he was younger to being more of a finesse pitcher now. And he's made that transformation very well. And also Wainwright, as a home underdog of plus 100 or greater in his career run, 14-2 under the total. And the other factor that I always say is the tired bat syndrome, okay? I say that a lot for teams that are traveling from one coast to the other with no rest. Well, in this particular instance, a different scenario. Cincinnati and St. Louis both played doubleheaders yesterday. Both played on the road. So you could see a little bit of fatigue with the bats today, especially against these 2 starting pitchers.
Yeah, no, spending the day at the ballpark, not getting the proper 8 hours rest could, that goes. Remember that guy I was telling you about, the biorhythms.
Yep.
It could play in the biorhythms today for these athletes if they didn't get their 7-8 hours sleep.
Exactly. And Ron, the other thing is, and people, I don't think a lot of Major League Baseball bettors take this into account. I just mentioned they both played doubleheaders yesterday, both played on the road. Now they travel, could be tired bats. Sonny Gray and Adam Wainwright were in St. Louis yesterday, okay? Because they always, the first game of a series, they always send their starting pitchers a day ahead of time, Ron.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they get their proper rest. So, again, a lot of things point toward the under in this game is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and you got two good pitchers. So, yeah, you know what? I'm going to check that off. Arizona taking on the Oakland Athletics. Now, watch that game last night. You know what? Good game last night. In Arizona, almost at the end, had left a lot of guys on bases, I found. And looking at today's price, 155 for Oakland, 8.5. 155, the over-under 8.5, 4.53, 4.43, favoring Arizona, who are sending Alex Young to the mound today against Sean Manaea of the Oakland Athletics. And looking at our value edge here, we had Oakland at minus 186, A neutral against B bullish type team, Kogo at 59%. So the percentage play does favor the over here today. But looking at today's matchup, 49% chance of winning compared to 41. I don't know. Oakland, after a big win last night, are they the type of team that, they play better at home? I have to check their home and away record.
Yeah,
here.
their home record's real good. Couple of left-handers going here today, Ron. Just a note, Arizona this year against left-handed starting pitchers have gone 1-6. Oakland versus left-handed starting pitchers, they're 5-0. So a little bit of disparity there. And then Oakland, this is nothing new. Since last year against left-handed starting pitchers, 39-13. So they've really dominated in these types of scenarios. The only drawback, again, Sean Manaea has really struggled this year. So that would be the only hesitation I would have in that particular instance in terms of me maybe even looking at a run line play, because I'm certainly not going to lay 155, and I don't see that line going down.
Yeah, and Arizona, you know what? Remember we kept talking about those big three undervalued team. I think I can put Arizona and Houston in that category right now. Not Houston, obviously they're a very good team, a 7-game win streak, but they're like the team of the hour right now. There's a team that you want to really the cycles. Remember I keep telling about these performance cycles. I think Arizona, Houston are teams that are going through good cycles that you want to wait for value when you get them. I think Arizona has good value here. They're going through a pretty good cycle. When you look at their last, let me check their last.
Yeah, they started out real slow, and now they're 13-12, and that's even with that loss yesterday.
Yeah, and you know what? As an underdog, 4-7 on the road, averaging 3.91, 5.18, but 4-1 in the last 5, 6-1 in the last 7, 7-3 in the last 10. It's one game doesn't make the team, but it was a tough battle yesterday, 4-1. But I think, like you said, Manaea not having a great start, I think it might be a good shot here for Arizona. Maybe get
the other thing, Ron. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
You have a point to make? More?
I'm good.
Okay. So Arizona is one of those teams. This is a playoff team in my estimation. And when I say that, and people look at their 13-12 record, remember, we're going with a 60-game schedule, a team that's coming on right now. And we're also looking at an expanded playoff field, Ron, where 8 teams in each league are going to make the postseason. So much different than before. You got to take that into account, because now when we get into the final third of the season, there's going to be a lot more teams playing meaningful baseball than we've been used to in the past. I mean, how many Septembers have we gone through where, 75% of the teams are out of contention by that point for a playoff spot.
Right.
So something to keep in mind going forward.
Well, I'm just running this through my database right now. Arizona on the road this year, coming off a loss, 5-2 straight up in their next game. But the only thing that concerns me, that the number I didn't like here, is versus opponents that have a 61 to 70% win percentage, 0-3.
Yeah.
You know,
And then the left-handed pitching thing too.
Yeah,
Ron,
and
take into account. You know what I mean?
and a B against an A-type team. Remember I talked about those
Yep.
That psychological effect of playing like those
Tough,
alpha teams?
really tough call, because I wouldn't lay that kind of number. But if you put the proverbial gun to my head, I think Ron's onto something, that Arizona has a bit of value at that number.
Yeah. I just think in the performance value cycles that Detroit and Baltimore are out and Arizona, Houston are in.
Well, you know, according to what you said at the beginning of the show, you want to start looking at underdogs now, right?
Yeah.
Because
Hey, there you go. I forgot about the SBI. LA Angels taking on the Giants. Now the Angels a 152 price, over under set at 9. ATS forecast, the computer pick, gonna go with Jose Suarez and the Angels, 4.38, 3.54. Kevin Gossman getting the call here today for the Giants, who are 0-4 in his last 4 starts when he gets the nod. So not a good record right there for the 10-16 Giants up against the 8-17 Papa Trout and Angels. Man, you know, again, you got some good players on this team, and then you're 8-17. What's going on here?
yeah, it's hard to. Joe Madden must be thinking, things weren't so bad with the Cubs and Rays when I was there, because they're definitely underachieving. Their pitching has a lot to do with that, Ron. This is a team that could still hit. They're just inconsistent hitting, but you'll see signs where they're very explosive offensively. Look, here's the thing: the Giants 8-1-1 over the total at home this year. The Giants bullpen over their last 7, a 9.00 ERA, a 179 WHIP, and they've allowed 9 home runs in 29 innings pitched.
Wow.
Also, the Giants this year against American League teams, their schedule has been top heavy with interleague games, and they're 10-1-1 over the total against American League teams this year. Yesterday's total pushed. And the Angels 6-0-1 over the total in the last 7. You got to be careful here. I'm going to have to take a look, but you can't ignore those types of numbers when it comes to evaluating the total and possibly taking the over.
Hey, what if I told you that Detroit and Kansas City have a better record than the Angels? How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's
Just,
ludicrous.
Yeah, and that Washington's 9-12. You know,
would say Detroit and Kansas City, yeah, and how about Miami too? I mean, even Miami at 9-9. So no, this is going to be it's getting late early, Ron.
It's getting late early for sure. And then we got the final doubleheader here game, Ross. Another 7-inning game here. The afternoon one at 4:05. But depending on what happens on that first game, I don't know if there's how much of a break between games. I don't know if it's a half hour, an hour, but I don't see this one starting at 4:05. I can see this being pushed to like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But
the only reason why is the 7-inning thing, Ron.
Yeah, that's true. Now, no, I don't see a line yet on this game, but for the purpose of entertainment, we're going to say 7 to 4.67, over under 11.67. Vincent Velasquez going for the Phillies up against Trent Thornton of the Blue Jays. So there you have it, Ross. That's the breakdown today for Major League Baseball. Again, we're going to go to we're going to open up the club here. We're going to go right to the dashboard. We're going to go into the 80% club, and we're going to see what we have on deck here today with some of our stats. Now, obviously, the Yankees are always going to be there because they have a history of always winning. I have a good one on the under today on the Texas Rangers. The Rangers, when they are an away team coming off 4 overs the last 10 years, the under is 14-1 to the under for the Texas Rangers. And again, let's take a look at the starting pitchers today.
Yeah, Gibson and Lamet.
There you go, man. That's a solid play right there, Ross.
Yep.
And also the LA Angels as a 140 to 160 road favorite versus right-handed pitchers the last 3 years, 13-1 straight up, and they're playing San Francisco. And let's go to the White Sox here. Chicago White Sox, when they're a 140, 160 home favorite during a day game, last 4 years, 10-1 straight up. So pretty good stats there today from the 80% club. Folks, you can get the 80% club stats. In fact, today we have over 237 stats that you can you know.
Yeah. If you can't find some value there, you never find any value.
Yeah, good reading material for sure there. And
Yeah.
again, if you are interested in the Rain Report, you want to learn about it, you go to our website and we give you a free Rain Report light version on the front page. And you can go to any game of your choice, NBA, NHL, MLB, and pretty soon NFL. And the tutorials right here at the top. And each and every day, me and Ross Benjamin post our premium picks, which you can get each and every day right here if you're interested in our selections. And Ross Benjamin, do you have anything that you want to share today, or?
No, there's nothing I want to share as far as picks or angles today, but I will say this. I went 0-3 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Had a rare losing day, Ron. I bounced back yesterday with a 2-0. Had the Montreal Canadiens as a plus 125 money line underdog. They won 5-3 against Philly. And I also had the Dallas Mavericks plus 5.5, an impressive 127-114 winner over the Clippers. I had them as a 10-star top play. So back on the winning track, Ron, 41-20 since July 29th with my paid selections in all sports, 24-10 last 34 in Major League Baseball, 11-6 in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. And, again, folks, my website is rbwins.com, where you can get the picks right at atsstats.com. And like the old saying goes, I could take you to water, which is those two websites. I can't make you drink it. But if you want to make some money, and like my buddy Ron says, unless you're allergic to making money, got to start purchasing these picks.
Absolutely. And folks, again, we much appreciate if you do enjoy these videos. Makes us feel good when we see all those thumbs up, Ross?
Yeah.
And give us a shout out. Like, man, we got people saying hi from West Africa. I saw the other day, Ghana and Mexico. Man, these international people watching our show just makes me feel good knowing that people all over the world can get the Rain Report along with Ross Benjamin each and every day. And you know what, man? It's good energy. I love it, and I appreciate everybody who gives us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get the Rain Report each and every day. Because once we load up this video, you get a notification from YouTube saying that the Rain Report, along with Ross Benjamin, is now up on their YouTube, and you can watch it every day here on Rain Report or the OSGA YouTube channel. Right, Ross?
Absolutely. And don't forget, folks, if you haven't subscribed already to those two YouTube channels, being the Raymond Report or OSGA, please do so. It costs you absolutely nothing, no hidden agenda. And like Ron said, you'll be notified right off the bat when we publish any of our future betting videos.
For Ross Benjamin, I'm Ron Raymond. This was the Rain Report along with Ross Benjamin for Thursday, August 20th. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. We'll see you back shortly with another Rain Report.